Hey everybody, BigAl here once again. Now before we go into the main topic of this video, I just want to show you something that I've been working on since the topic is related to Ghostbusters. Now, this, my friends, is currently the build of the slime shooter. And here's the slime nozzle right here. And for added detail, I dabbed some hot glue at the end and painted it pink for the mood slime, as it's called in the cartoon. But yeah, I was inspired by both the backyard effects and William Shakespeare tutorials on making a flamethrower. As you can see, there's half of a backpack that's been zip tied to a PVC. What the fuck is it called? PVC. Cage, I guess. Here is the main tank. These are just reflective strips from the dollar store that I painted black stripes on. This is a piece of foam mat, as you can see here, that I've painted with what William Shakespeare calls a sealant, which is 1 part glue, 1 part water. That way the paint can stay on there. And here we just have empty spray bottles from the dollar store, container from the dollar store, piece of tubing, sponge ball, piece of PVC type deal. And on this side we have a stick-on press light, and as you can see, it works just fine. And yeah, that is the build of my slime shooter so far. You see, the problem with the slime shooter is that not a lot of people, you don't see a lot of Ghostbuster costumes that include the slime shooter. They're more inclined to wear one of these, the proton pack here. But it's weird because the slime shooter is featured prominently in Ghostbusters 2 promotional material. It's even included on the theatrical poster and most of the DVD cover art, and yet it only appears in the last few minutes of film, so naturally there's not a lot of info on it. There aren't a lot of schematics on it on how you can make your own for a cosplay prop, so people just kind of take creative liberties with it. You know, they make their own slime shooters, or slime blower as it's called. They make their own and put their own little twist on it, relying heavily on simply movie stills. Because there's plenty of schematics for a proton pack and all the other goodies that go with it, like the trap and whatnot, but there's hardly any schematics out there for the slime blower. So that being said, I thought it would be really cool to have a slime blower prop the next time I cosplay as Ghostbuster. With that being said, let's get on to the topic of discussion. So as you can no doubt tell, I am a fan of the Ghostbusters franchise. I love the movies, I love the cartoon, even Extreme, even though I haven't seen it in a couple of years. And I like collecting various amounts of Ghostbusters merchandise. Here I have the Art Pop version of Mr. Stay Puft here. I have Ghostbusters 1 and 2 on DVD. Comes with both movies, as you can see here, both 1 and 2, and a scrapbook which features some transcripts of original scripts and some art, director bios, how they did the special effects, some long lost facts, like for example, John Belushi was supposed to be in this movie, but he passed away, and some additional logo concept. Like, these are pretty interesting here. Sorry, you can't see it, but point being, this wasn't always the logo that they came with, that they thought they were going to use. So, yep, very awesome double featured gift set. It even comes with 2 episodes of the real Ghostbusters cartoon, and those episodes are Citizen Ghost and what the hell was it? and Partner in Slime. And the reason why they included those two specific episodes was because Citizens and Ghosts is directly connected to the first movie, and Partners in Slime is directly connected to the second movie. And I'm just going to lower this just a tiny bit here. And that's a little too much. Now you're probably wondering why the whole Ghostbusters get up. Well, it's because there's a new Ghostbusters movie coming out. Now I talked about this various times in the past, but I think it's about time I give my full thoughts on the matter, even though the movie hasn't even been teased yet. There's no trailer for it or anything. It's just the director keeps leaking on-set photographs every once in a while, and to be honest, that can be both a good and a bad thing, because one, it shows that the director is actively interested in his own work and is actively interested in people's opinions. So they ask him, hey, what does this look like? What does that look like? And he shows them. Like, hey, what do the packs look like? Here you go. These are what our packs look like. Hey, what does the Ecto 1 look like? There you go. There's the Ecto 1. Hey, what do the suits look like? There you go. They're the suits. It shows that he's actively interested in being interactive. But on the flip side of that, by the time all the shit gets leaked out, nobody wants to see the film because they've seen all they need to see. But one of the biggest reasons why I'm talking about this right now is because of a certain article. Actually, scratch that. A lot of articles, but one particular one that claims that people are only skeptical of the new Ghostbusters movie coming out with an all-female cast because they hate women. In fact, I'll pull it up on my handy-dandy Wii U pad here, just to show you exactly what I'm talking about. Okay, scratch that. I can't find the specific article I'm looking for, because I have to go through waves and waves of basically the same shit. But there was a specific article I was looking for, but that doesn't really matter right now, because the main focus of the article was that if you have a problem with the new Ghostbusters movie that's inevitably coming out, then that means that you hate women. Guys, can we just fucking stop, please? This is ridiculous. Why is it that when people express concern over something that just so happens to have women in it, that automatically means they hate it because there's women in it? Why is that always the go-to option? Maybe people don't like the casting. Maybe people think the director sucks. Maybe people think that he's just doing this for brownie points to look progressive, despite the fact that there's still the all-white team with the token black chick in it. I mean, I appreciate Paul Feig, being interactive with his fans on Twitter, showing them production photos of what everything's gonna look like. And you know what? I like what I see. The uniforms are basically the original tan coveralls, just with hazard stripes attached to it. I don't understand why that's a big problem. The proton packs look all steampunky and shit. It's pretty cool. The Ecto 1 looks like the Ecto 1. I mean, the roof of the car looks like it's just a bunch of shit haphazardly thrown together. But doesn't that kind of fit in with the spirit of Ghostbusters? A bunch of ragtag scientists throwing shit together, hoping that it works and doesn't blow them up. So yes, I'm cautiously excited over the new Ghostbusters film. But at the same time, I'm just gonna be honest, with stuff like this, I have my nostalgic glasses on tight around my head, and it's cutting the oxygen to my brain. And I'm really biased to this when it comes to this shit. Maybe people are wary about the film because of the fact that it's being made in the first place. They've been trying to get Ghostbusters 3 off the ground for years, and it's never been successful because Bill Murray didn't like the script or some other thing that happened. The closest we've ever gotten to a true Ghostbusters 3 was the video game, and that was because everybody was on board with it. Bill Murray was there, Dan Aykroyd was there, Ernie Hudson was there, Harold Ramis was there, may he rest in peace. It was great, and it tied all the loose ends from the other two films, and introduced some new characters, and like for example, when I say loose ends, it's like, oh, they finally caught the library ghost that was part of their first case, and we finally get to see Evo Shandor. And we get to fight the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man again. And it's great. And the script writing is fantastic. It's hilarious. And when people say we need another Ghostbusters film, and I tell them we already have one. It's just so happens to be in the form of a video game. But out of all the concerns I have with this film, there are two that just bother me the most. The first concern that I have with this film, based on who was casted and based on the director, is that rather than actually write something that's witty and actually, well, you know, funny, the director is going to rely on not just stereotypes based around the characters, but references to the original films that in this universe wouldn't make sense because it's a reboot. And when I say stereotypes based on the characters, I'll show you. I have it booted up on my Wii U, but because it's on the screen, I'm just going to show you there. So let's turn this bad boy around, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. Okay, so here's the full cast right here. These are the confirmed Ghostbusters. Now, the only one I know by name is Melissa McCarthy. But I'm going to tell you exactly what I mean by my first point. You see, I've seen enough of these comedy films. I've seen enough comedy films to tell exactly what kind of character the actor's going to play simply by how they look. And I'm going to give you an example. For example, Melissa McCarthy here, right there. Guarantee you that based on her previous work, she's going to be the clumsy fat fuck that falls over everything and makes comments about her weight. Hopefully, Paul Feig won't stoop to that. Hopefully, she's going to be at least kind of funny. But I'm not holding my breath for that. And I'm going to guess that she's going to be this movie's Peter Venkman. This character right here, do I even need to say anything? Do I even need to say a single fucking thing about what character I think this actor's going to be playing? I mean, think about it. She's an overweight black woman with a weave. Do I even need to say anything more? I mean, setting aside the fact that she is the token character, she's the one black chick in basically this snowstorm. I hope to God that Paul Feig has enough sense as a director to not reduce her to a fucking street smart, sassy black woman stereotype. Because Lord knows there's not an abundance of that. And because she's the only black person in this film, I'm gonna laugh if she is, but in the team, I'm going to take a wild fucking guess and say that this is Winston. Next up, we have the only normal-looking woman of the bunch. There's nothing outwardly remarkable about her. She's got short brown hair. She's of average height. She has the average build. She's probably going to be the straight man, if you will, acting like a foil to everyone else's comedy. And that being said, she's probably gonna be like the average chick, the one who doesn't know what the fuck is going on, while the rest of her team is doing God knows what. And that being said, she's probably gonna be Ray Stantz. Now, here, I have two names for this character. The nerdy chick, and the chick with a Tumblr blog. I mean, God, she's got the fucking thin-rimmed problem glasses and the fucked up hair. In fact, considering this is the current generation, I wouldn't be surprised if she did have a Tumblr blog. Hello, my name is Queer Fairy Femme. I like long walks on the beach and destroying the patriarchy. That being said, this is probably going to be this movie's equivalent of Egon Spengler. I know I'm being an asshole, I know I'm being harsh, but there's a reason why I'm being harsh. If this is truly going to be true to the original, then they can't rely on stereotypes based on what the character looks like. The reason why I love the original Ghostbusters movies, and to a certain extent the cartoon, is because they don't rely on any of that. They instead rely on witty banter and just good humor. I mean, for crying out loud, this was a movie in the 80s, and even though Ernie Hudson was playing the only black character in the Ghostbusters team, they never called attention to that. They never once relied on the fact that he was black or he was the only black person on the team. He was just there. He was a Ghostbuster. He was just as confused about all the ghosts running around as everyone else was. And that's why I loved it, because it was actually funny and didn't rely on dated stereotypes. Now, the second thing that terrifies me about this movie coming out, and it's probably the one that terrifies me the most, is that this is going to be played off as some progressive tripe. That it's tokenism. You know, it reeks of tokenism. Ghostbusters! But with girls! Now again, just to reiterate, I don't have a problem with an all-female Ghostbusters team. That's not the issue. I don't think anybody in their right mind who is a Ghostbusters fan would make that an issue. The Ghostbusters fandom, at least the ones that I've been around, it's one of the most accepting and understanding fandoms I've ever been a part of. And that's saying a lot. You know, that's saying something considering that there are other fandoms out there like Steven Universe and Homestuck, which both of them might as well be forms of fucking cancer at this point. But I have never once heard a Ghostbuster say, no, you can't be a Ghostbuster because A, B, or C. I've never heard anyone say that. But what I've always heard is that anybody can be a Ghostbuster. Whether you're, you know, it doesn't matter your race or creed or gender, whatever. You put on a suit, you put on the pack, you're a fucking Ghostbuster. That's all that matters. That being said, my problem with this film is that they are relying on the fact that it's all women, rather than being a Ghostbuster film where they just happen to be women. You see what I'm saying? There's a difference. There's a difference between making something that happens to have characters and making something whose only redeeming quality is that they have those same characters. Because if it's the latter, then you're relying on tokenism. And I've said this in various other websites, especially Facebook. I swear to God, if I go to see this in the theaters, and there's even one scene where some asshole says, you can't do that, you're a girl, I'm leaving. I swear to God, I'm going to pick up my popcorn and my drink, toss it in the trash, and I'm walking right the fuck out of the theater and wait until somebody bootlegs this movie so I can watch the rest of it. I mean, I guess it wouldn't matter anyway because the theater has my money. But it's the principle of the matter, goddammit. And I say this because I just want a good Ghostbusters movie, not faux-aggressive tripe masquerading as a Ghostbusters movie. You know, I want witty dialogue. I mean, quite frankly, I don't think this should exist at all. But if it's going to exist, I want it to be good. And I'm cautiously optimistic about it. You know, it's great that Paul Feig is interactive. It's great that he's showing off what people ask him to show off. But just make a Ghostbusters movie. I don't want their gender shoved in my face every 5 seconds. I don't want to sit there and scream, "We get it, you're girls." You see what I mean? I want a Ghostbusters movie, not a girl power fantasy. And already there are articles popping up saying that this is gonna be the most, you know, this is gonna be progressive as fuck because it's gonna pass the Bechdel test. And you know what's funny? These people who, before this movie was even announced, these people proclaimed their love for Ghostbusters, but yet because there's one with all women coming out, suddenly the original Ghostbusters movies, they're sexist, they're vile, they don't pass the Bechdel test. I mean, for fuck's sake, I remember reading somebody, you know, posting about that scene in Ghostbusters 1 where Peter drugs Dana so that she's asleep, and then he just, you know, being the prude that he is, decides to, like, you know, like, kiss her hand and then kiss her on the tits. Someone said that was rape. Not even kidding. That because she was unconscious and she wasn't aware of him kissing her, that's rape. Get the fuck off my planet. But these people are posers. They never liked the Ghostbusters movie that I grew up with. You know, they're only gonna like this movie because it has women in it. It's gonna have nothing to do with the cool gadgets or if it's good, the good writing. They're just concerned about it being women. And you can't do that. That's bullshit. And you can't call yourself a Ghostbusters fan, but trash everything about Ghostbusters, but then trash everything about Ghostbusters. Because this new one is progressive. It's bullshit. And as for the Bechdel test, fuck the Bechdel test. It's one of the stupidest goddamn things to ever exist. I mean, not even the original comic where it came from, Dykes to Watch Out For, that specific strip passes the Bechdel test. Because even though it's two women talking to each other about something other than a man, you never learn their names. Therefore, it fails the Bechdel test. So, good job, jackass! But, that bitching aside, and trust me, I've done a lot of bitching, I will see this film in theaters. And I hope to God that all the things that I'm worried about won't even show up. I hope to God that this is just a good Ghostbusters movie. Just show me a bunch of characters with wacky gadgets going after ghosts. That's all I want to see. You know, if he's going through with this completely, I just want him to do it the right way. So far, everything looks good. You know? So far, everything looks great. I love the costumes. I love the proton packs. The Ecto 1's looking pretty neat. I just hope the writing in the movie itself can back all that shit up. So, until next time, folks, I shall see you at GoDaikoCon, which is coming up next week. So, until next time, folks, this has been Big Al. Over and out.